Welcome back to the Sports Fix. Having some fun, pumping it up here down the stretch. Just wanted to get you moving. Whether you're sitting at work, whether you're at the house, maybe you're driving in the car on a long, miserable, relative-filled trip, National Lampoon style. And maybe they're driving you crazy. Maybe you're having a great time. Maybe you're cross-country. I don't know. Whatever you're doing, if it could be Wednesday, maybe it's Thursday. Hell, maybe it's the weekend. I don't know. Happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you guys. Have some fun. Shake that booty. I don't care, man. I got to drop a little peaches and herb here as we roll things down to the stretch of the Sports Fix. Hey, it's been a hell of a show, hell of a week. Can you believe that I know technically there's a day or two of the show left, but December? Really? Christmas? Here we go, man. The countdown has begun, man. And then we're hitting 2015. Nuts, man. Nuts. That's all I got to say, man. Speaking of nuts, and, well, no, I'm not even going to go there, but I could go a lot of different directions with where that segue just started. But thank you guys for being with us here today, and as always, and Doug Plagens, voice of the Monsters, thanks to him for being with us. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan, thanks to you, as always. Dan's here every Monday and Wednesday. Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com, and, of course, Friday. Before we even go any further, looking ahead, Jonathan Knight will be here, sports writer extraordinaire. Can't wait to catch up with him on the back end of his Thanksgiving and talk some Browns and all of that with him. Talking about the Browns, you know it's Friday. When we come back live, we'll be previewing the Browns and the Bills. Ryan Ruiz from Dog Pound Nation will have his 3 dog bones to a Browns victory as well. Jeff Gorman of Browns101.com will be here, and he will do the scouting report thing for the Buffalo Bills as we look at the next opponent on the slate. I'm telling you, going to be a tough one for both teams here, as each team will be fighting to keep themselves alive. Buffalo fighting to tie the Browns here. Meanwhile, Cleveland looking to secure their first 500 season in a minute, and one of only a handful of them since they came back in 1999. We'll talk about all of that Friday as well. Eddie Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland, beat writer for Cavaliers Hoops. He'll join us. We'll talk some Cavs hoops with Eddie as tonight Cavs are back in action, tonight being Wednesday night. For those of you listening live, the Wizards, the rematch from last week, they went to Washington. This time, Wizards coming to Cleveland. Cavs, of course, got a little right when they played the Magic Monday. Some of that to be expected. It's too hard to just look at one game, no matter whether it's an up or a down, and go, well, they fixed this from last week. They fixed that. It's a process. I hate that word, but it is a journey. Can't stand that word, but it is definitely all of those things. And I just don't know. I liked what we saw. We talked about it, but I don't know how much of what you saw Monday was a function of improvement by the Cavs and how much was a function of who you were playing. So tonight will give you a good test. I'll tell you what, did you guys see? Probably not, because we've been on the air. But I just had a quote sent to me a little bit ago. Kyrie Irving this morning in the interview, the press time before shoot around here, said, "I don't just want to play defense. I want to defend the best point guards in the NBA. I'm challenging myself to do it." And listen, say what you want. I know the joke is there to write itself, but you guys have been here as long as Kyrie has, the Cavs fans. How many times have you heard him start and include anywhere sentences with the word defense? Let's keep that real, man. I like the fact that he is opening his eye. If nothing else, he's going, man, I'm having trouble here. Me and Braun are butting heads there. Me and this guy are butting heads here. But know what? Nobody butts heads on defense. I'm just going to go focus on the things I can control while everything else sorts itself out. When that kid learns how to play defense, well, excuse me, I already said the other day, he's given the gig up on that. When that kid decides to play defense every single night like he did against San Antonio, when that kid decides that, he will be absolutely a different player. And that's a difference maker for what the Cavaliers need here, you know. And you guys know I've been very critical over the years of the attitude issues with Kyrie Irving, of the growth, of the selfishness. But these are things, too. You can't go that way and then not also acknowledge the other part. Again, just like I said about the Cavs, one game, not you went out and played defense. But my thing with Kyrie is If you'd have just not done that, then people might do what they've done, which is say, yeah, Kyrie can't play defense. No, Kyrie can play defense. Now we just know that Kyrie chooses not to play defense. But if he does, man, if he takes his game defensively to another level, that's something he can do now while the rest of the team is doing their thing. And maybe, just maybe, whether it was him, he's a smart kid, maybe it was an agent, maybe it was a counselor, a parent, maybe your dad said, hey, look, you can't control whether you and LeBron are going to get along offensively. You can't control how long it takes you and Kevin Love to gel on the court, but you can control how you play defense. And that will also, hey, that'll make you stand out when other guys aren't playing defense on the team. As we know, that's been an issue too. So I want to see how they come back here tonight. Washington has shown that they're a very good squad over there. I've always had a thing for Bradley Beal. I don't want to say I was against John Wall, but he's definitely grown on me in his time in the NBA, and he's really become a very good point guard as well. Those two together, a great combination. And I liked Beal. As we know, that was taken right before Deion Waiters there. Cavs clearly had every intention of drafting him there. I like that kid, man. But anyways, Cavaliers, here's something to look for tonight. Bench play. Last week when they played, 40-9. The Wizards bench had the number of the Cavaliers bench. And clearly that's something that they're continuing to play with, figuring out what they can do. I know David Blatt's talked about moving Mike Miller into the starting rotation. There were some people mentioning Harris before, because the thing is you got to get Marion out of the starting spot. And it's not because he can't start. It's because I think Marion helps your team more by being the guy that can fill in for LeBron when he needs to come out and play several other positions as well than necessarily when he starts. That's just me looking at the way he plays and how he could fit on this team. Not say he's very capable of starting, but he wasn't brought here for that. Like we talked about, when Ben Tate, his situation changed. He was brought here for one thing, then reality made it different, and it was like, well, hey, this isn't what I was brought here for. Same thing there. Sean Marion brought into the starting rotation because they needed him to, but that's not why he was brought here, and I don't know that that's necessarily the role that he preferred to play. He'll do whatever. Who cares what you prefer to do? But my point is that I think they're better off if they can figure it out. I just don't know if that player's on the team or if they're going to have to acquire him from a trade, because they need to figure out what that piece is that will let you move Marion back to the bench, and then it'll maybe allow you to put your rotation back together a little bit there. So we'll see how that works and how that plays itself out. That's all part of the process, that word there. We'll see what happens. But as I was saying, just, again, you can feel happy that the Cavaliers blew out the Magic the other night, and it's always good to snap a 4-game losing streak, even if that one followed just the tale of up and down, 4 up, 4 down. But you snap it against Orlando. But like I said, how much of that is stickable and how much of that is the function of who they played? So we'll find out, get a little bit of a taste for this tonight. Should be a good one here. And Cavs continuing this homestand here, looking to turn it into a winning streak. Cavs continuing this 5-game homestand as they got this big chunk of home games here to end November and start off December. Eddie Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland, Cavaliers beat writer. He'll be back here on Friday, and we'll talk about this game. We'll get you set for the Cavs weekend to come, kind of look at a slice of things here. We've been doing week by week the progression or regression of the Cavs as the season goes. So we'll get a chance to come back after Thanksgiving and talk to Eddie Jansen about the Cavaliers and the latest here with the Wizards. Hey, I mentioned this before, and I'm definitely, you guys know, I'm definitely not the guy that likes to look for the downside of stories and things that we talk about here all the time. But here's a bad one. And I saw this and I said, man, and part of me, look, I look for the good in people. You guys know a lot of people accuse me of being a glass half full kind of guy. That's not 100% true. I come from pro wrestling, which means I'm always looking for the work. So I'm actually incredibly skeptical, way more than you think. I've had to fight that side of me to try to keep the optimistic side going. But I do like to give the benefit of the doubt. I do like to believe the best in humanity when I can, until it's proven to me otherwise in my face. And, you know, Devon Still. And again, this is a story that has a lot of missing pieces. So I'm not going to, it's like Johnny Manziel. Show me some video and then we can stop doing the, well, what if. But Devon Still, his daughter, Leah Still, battling child cancer. We've talked about that. Remember the Bengals matched the jersey sales. He was on the practice squad at the beginning part of the season because he couldn't commit to being on the committing to the team, being there as they needed him to. Remember, there were a lot of headlines about the guy who would rather take care of his daughter than to be a football player, and then the team found a spot for him, and so on and so forth. And they presented the check during Thursday Night Football, and he's done a great job. We talk about Lauryn Hill. They crossed them together. Leah Still went to Lauryn Hill's game the other day, and some good stuff there. And all of that is not to be overshadowed by the rest of this story. But the New York Daily News has dropped a story with an interview with the child's mother, Leah Still. Her mother, Channing Smythe is the lady's name, saying that Devon Still has not paid child support for her since August of this year, which is basically since this story began. August, September, October, and now here the month of November. And she said that he has refused to pay his child support for those months, and this letter was also sent to the NFL. They're asking for the NFL to investigate whether Still's non-payment of child support is a violation of the league's personal conduct policy. Now, that's a whole different ball of wax right there, because I'm willing to bet no statistics to back this up, but my gut would be willing to bet that there's quite a few NFL players that could fall into that category of not paying or having fallen behind. We've heard stories about cats who've made hundreds of millions of dollars who haven't paid child support for their 30 kids around the country. Sean Kemp. We've heard stories about that all the time. Adrian Peterson have kids all over he doesn't even know he has, which there's a little bit of a difference. You're still irresponsible, but there's a difference if you don't know they're out there than if you know they're out there and you're just ignoring them. But for all the publicity that this story bought, for all the goodwill in the media, in the fan base, and around the league that this brought to Devon Still, and obviously rightfully so, because you can feel for a guy in that position. It kind of puts the backside to it and goes, really? Ever since this thing popped in the news, you haven't been able to pay your child support? I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Bengals have still been paying you this whole time. I'm pretty sure that there's not like any actual reason why you haven't, and obviously you've been involved in her life from day to day. The mother even said, I don't consider him a deadbeat dad. I know he cares for his daughter and he's there for her, but he doesn't help us. I need him to help me financially. And that says something to me, man. And that's it. It's just a bad side to what was a good story there. We'll see as more comes out, because clearly nobody knows. And now I wouldn't be surprised if a check's not sent by the time. While we're talking about this, they'll probably clear that up and say it was a misunderstanding or whatnot. But still, that's a bad look for sure. And especially the league dealing with all of this stuff. And it could be as simple as his feeling that since he was more a day-to-day, I don't know their personal situation, but yeah, since the story broke, since the publicity broke, and maybe he thought that was better. Maybe he said, the few $1,000s a month. I don't know what his monetary amount that he sends to his daughter would be for child support, but maybe he thought with the money that they've raised and all of that, or maybe his life's just been a whirlwind for 3 months and that fell through the cracks. I don't see how that's possible, because I'm willing to bet if she told the New York Daily News that she wanted some money, she probably told him over the last 4 months that she needed some money, but maybe not. Maybe she's being shady. If we're throwing all sides out there, maybe she's being shady. Maybe she's making a cash grab. I don't know. But the NFL needs to jump on that quickly. Last thing they need is for this, because they've promoted the hell out of this story as being the counter of Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice and these things. Here's this heartwarming story. Sure would suck for the league if it turns out that there's the thorns in the rose bush of this story. We'll talk more about that on Friday too. Guys, we're going to call it a day. We're talking about all of this on Friday. We're talking Cavs, Indians, Browns, previewing the game, Buckeyes, final stop before we get into Michigan, all of that. We're going to be a huge, loaded, jam-packed, super-duper Black Friday edition of the Sports Fix. And, of course, that also means some giveaways, baby. Be here Friday because we are going to give you the opportunity to pick up a copy of Glory Days in Tribetown by